Scream is one of the most chilling and successful blockbuster horror movie franchises of all time.
Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
A mass killer, stalking and slashing women to death.
You hang up on me again, I'll gut you like a fish, understand?
But what so many horror fans don't know,
To see what your insides look like.
the movie Scream was inspired by a real-life evil serial killer. In the space of just 10 months, starting in 1989, Danny Rowling, also known as the Gainesville Ripper, hunted and preyed upon 8 unsuspecting victims. This is the horrifying and untold grim truth behind the movie Scream. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you may be in the world right now, hello, I'm Lloyd, and today you're watching When Evil Follows. In this ripping and killer case, we're heading overseas to the other side of the big pond, landing somewhere around here. Here we are, Louisiana, Shreveport, USA. Shreveport is one of Louisiana's largest cities, and is the third most popular in the state overall. Shreveport City can be found in the northwest of Louisiana, and is home to the famous R.W. Norton Art Gallery, hosting some of the world's most rare and treasured artwork. The city is home to the Riverside Gambling Halls, the Betty Virginia Park, and the Shreveport Aquarium. And that's not to forget the gorgeous and stunning views of the Red River, and the fun and popular Louisiana Boardwalk outdoor shopping mall. With a shy population of around 177,500 odd people, Shreveport City is a beautiful place with such charm and magic, always influencing its visitors to simply return and set up home there.
So tell me, baby, what were my words? All my tears run together.
Excuse me, Mr. Rollins.
Down the path you choose
Mr. Rollins.
to follow.
Mr. Rollins.
Tell me, baby, what were my words? All my tears run together. What were my words? All my tears run together, baby.
Okay, you get one song and that's it, Mr. Rollins.
Danny Rowling was born on the 26th of May in the year of 1954 in Shreveport, Louisiana. Danny grew up in a very troubled and unhappy home setting. His father, James Rowling, was a Shreveport police officer, a pillar of strength within the public community. Maybe not, because behind closed doors, James Rowling was a bully and a violent abuser. James actually told his son Danny from birth that he wasn't ever loved, and he definitely wasn't ever needed or wanted. Not the best way to go about starting a relationship with your son. On this one occasion, Danny, now aged 5, had a much loved pet dog, but James would beat the dog so often that the dog actually died in Danny's arms. In fact, James would often beat Danny and his mother Claudia and his other brother Kevin furiously over the smallest things like coughing at the dinner table. James would violently beat all 3 family members just for breathing in a way that displeased him. In some reported incidences, James would actually attack Claudia and the boys with knives, leather belts, and even break up furniture just so he could use the table or chair legs as a weapon to dish out the beatings. He would also use his handcuffs to trap and then inflict further pain and injury onto his family victims. In all honesty, he was a really nasty individual, no doubt bringing nothing but fear and trauma to both boys, including their mother, Claudia. Now, Claudia did make repeated attempts to leave her abusive husband, but she would always return back to the family home just days later, purely out of fear for the safety of her own children. And so yeah, Danny Rowling was abused by his father all the way through his childhood and through his early adulthood too, actually leading to Rowland attempting to take his own life on numerous occasions. Now, Rowling in his younger adult years was arrested several times for petty shoplifting and robbery in and around the Georgia area, eventually leading to him serving time in prison. However, Danny Rowling's criminality didn't stop there, because as soon as he was released from prison, he would go on to commit more crime, from sexual abuse to physical assault to theft and even armed robbery, but these crimes would go unsolved. And as an adult, he also struggled to find his place within society. He had trouble holding down a steady job, and his demeanor was quite poor, although eventually his persistence would pay off, as he actually found steady employment working as a waiter in Poncho's restaurant in Louisiana. And for the first time in a long time, things were now starting to look up for Rowling. Well, that was until he got into a heated argument with his father, and then decided to pull a gun out from his pocket and shoot his father in the head, and then the chest. And even though his father did survive, Rowling wasn't hanging around to find out. He was completely convinced that he had just killed his own father, and so Danny Rowling, he went on the run. In the November of 1989, Danny Rowling broke into the Grissom family home on Beth Lane in the Southern Hills neighbourhood of Shreveport, and what he did next is what could only be described as pure evil and a horrendous act. He climbed through an open window at the back of the house, and once inside the property, he then stabbed 55-year-old Tom Grissom in the back with a 12-inch carving knife. After killing Tom, Rowland then finds 8-year-old Sean Grissom. He was in the living room watching TV when Rowland forced the knife through his body with such fury and force, the blade actually pierced the wooden flooring by 3 inches. And then, just after murdering the 8-year-old boy, he then creeps along the hallway and makes his way to the back bedroom and rapes 24-year-old Julie Grissom in her own bed before stabbing her to death during intercourse. A triple homicide, 3 people all dead at once. A truly sick and brutal crime. The police and investigators at the crime scene, they openly said that it was like walking into a horror movie or some kind of twisted dark nightmare. Nevertheless, these murders for the meantime went unsolved, and Rowling was free to continue walking the streets. Now, in the following year of 1990, Danny Rowling moved to Florida. To be more specific, he moved to Gainesville, Florida. And on the 24th of August in the year of 1990, late at night, Danny broke into the home of 2 young college students, 18-year-old Sonia Lawrenson and 17-year-old Christina Powell. Rowling walked into the first bedroom and stood over Christina's sleeping body. He stood over her watching her sleep for around 5 minutes before quietly leaving Christina's dorm and gently closing her bedroom door shut. He then walked across the hallway and slowly opened the door to Sonia's dorm, and as she lay sleeping, he taped up her mouth to startle her from screaming and then began stabbing her to death with a cobra knife. He then walked back into Christina's room and woke her up at knife point. He then tied her up and she was sexually assaulted and then forced to lay flat on her stomach. And it was during this time Rowling began stabbing her in the back multiple times, rupturing her lungs and puncturing her heart. He then flipped her dying body over and then sliced her body open from her pubic bone all the way up to her breastbone. A grim and gruesome, brutal killing. The next day, on the 25th of August, he breaks into an apartment belonging to 18-year-old Krista Hoyt. However, she wasn't home, and so he hid in her apartment and patiently waited with the lights off, in the dark, under her bed, just silently waiting for her to return home. And if that's not terrifying enough, what happens next will shock and quite possibly unhinge you. Krista Hoyt gets home quite late in the evening, around 11 o'clock. She's been out for most of the day and by now she's really tired. She then sits on the bed and takes off her jacket and takes off her shoes. And that's when Rowling lashes out and cuts her at the back of the ankles with a large 12-inch hunting knife from under her bed, instantly disabling and stopping her from running away. Rowling then drags her along the bedroom floor with his hand covering her mouth, whilst at the same time stabbing her multiple times in the back until he punctured her lungs and heart, killing her in the most horrendous and violent attack humanly possible. Now, it was after killing Krista, Rowling left the apartment, but when he got halfway home, he's thinking, oh crap, I've left my wallet at the scene of the crime. So he makes his way back to the property, and whilst he was there, he decided to cut off Christina Hoyt's head from the rest of her body. He actually decapitated the body and then posed the severed head on a bookshelf looking down at its own dead body. Unbelievable. This twisted killer did that. He cut off her head and then posed her body in the most sickest way humanly possible. And it was by this time news of the students' murders were now spreading throughout the college and university like wildfire. Students were being massacred in their own beds and in their own dorms late at night. Like, how terrifying is that? And so students began coupling up at night, as many of the on-campus students were by now living in fear. But nothing would save the unfortunate victims from Danny Rolling, because he was hell-bent on destruction and violence towards his victims, completely fueled and addicted to sexual acts and his twisted actions. Like, this guy wasn't just gonna stop killing unless he was either caught or dead. Fast forward just 2 days and the date is now the 27th of August in the year of 1990, when Rolling breaks into an apartment belonging to 23-year-old Tracy Paulas and 23-year-old Emmanuel Tabola. However, Rolling's plans didn't go as smoothly as he would have liked, because Manuel was able to put up a struggle, although eventually Rolling managed to overcome Emmanuel and stabbed him to death. And it was also from that moment onwards Tracy's fate was sealed. She too would go on to lose her life, in the same manner as all the other girls. She was mutilated and both bodies were left in pools of their own blood. Now these murder stories were quickly becoming national news, and after being aired on TV, a Louisiana detective contacted the Gainesville police and informed them that their murder case sounds almost identical to the unsolved triple homicide back in the late November in 1989. But the police, they still had no suspects, and they had no idea who the killer could be. Months and months had passed, and by chance Daniel Rolling was captured and arrested by Gainesville police on charges for robbery. However, once they did a little bit of digging around into Daniel's past, they noticed that he was living near the Grissom family home on Beth Lane in the year of 1989. What's the odds of that then? Eh? And whilst being held in police custody, the police took a DNA sample from Danny Rolling, and pretty soon after that the police were able to match the DNA code to the 5 Gainesville murders and the 3 murders from 1989. Danny Rolling was eventually charged on 8 counts of first-degree murder in 1994 and was later sentenced to death row. Danny Rolling was finally executed by lethal injection at the Florida State Prison on the 25th of October in the year of 2006, and he was pronounced dead by 6:15 p.m. Before Danny Rolling was executed, he actually made a public statement saying that he wanted to go down in history as being the most successful and feared serial killer of all time, just like Ted Bundy. And that his reason for killing people was because he was controlled by an evil demon called Yanat. Yeah, that's Danny spelt back to front. so creative. Anyways, in 1999, serial killer Danny Rolling was buried at the Florida State Prison Cemetery with no name and no date of birth, just a plaque with his prison number on. However, in more recent years, somebody actually removed that metal plaque, just leaving a stone in the ground, marking the spot where the original Ghostface was put to rest. Hello there, and thank you so much for watching another episode of When Evil Follows. If you have enjoyed this case, then please don't forget to hit the like button and show the love and subscribe to the channel. By hitting the like button, you're helping the channel out and you're also helping me out in the process. And also, don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our amazing up-and-coming videos, just like this one. So what did you think to this case? Did you know that Daniel Rolling was the original Ghostface? How he killed and what he did to the bodies were so twisted. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And now, with all that being said, here's 2 more videos, guaranteed to bring in the Halloween vibe. So go ahead and check them out. And as always, stay safe, look after yourself, and I'll see you again the next time when evil follows. Bye.